Morning, day 85. So this morning I'm just having hazelnut coffee, and I'm going to use these creamers that I got from the restaurant when we went out to breakfast the other day. A lot of times they bring you a handful of these creamers, and if you don't use them all, I just bring them home. So another way to save a few cents. So today I'm going out to lunch with my daughter. We've been trying to get together for lunch now for a couple weeks, but she's very busy at work, so she can't always get away. So hopefully it'll work out today, and we'll go have some lunch. So yesterday I spent the day with my mom, and today I get to spend some time with my daughter. So it seems like it gets harder and harder as you get older to spend time with your children because they have families, they work, and I know I don't want to be a pest. So, and you know, I have great kids. So I find things to keep myself busy because it's not their job to entertain me or to constantly call and check on me because I'm okay. You know, if I was sick, that would be a different story, and I would hope my children would, you know, help me out. But I'm relatively healthy. I can get around, I can do things, so I can shop for myself. So any time I get to spend with them is a good time. So I'm fully stocked up on produce now. I still have to put a lot of it in different containers, but there's no big hurry to do that. But I'm happy to have some fresh produce. I can have some salads. I can add some to stir fries or whatever else it is I want to eat. So since I'm going to lunch today, I won't be eating much breakfast because I don't eat breakfast and lunch. I usually combine it and just have a brunch a little later in the morning. So we'll see what the day brings, but I'm pretty sure I'll be eating dinner here tonight, and I'll be making something, but we'll see what that is. Now that my refrigerator has lots of produce in it, it's not as empty as it was. So if time allows today, I'd like to plant my potato starts. They've been laying there for a couple days now, and they have crusted over, so they should be okay to plant. And hopefully, once I do that, they won't rot in the soil. But we'll see how that works. It's an experiment for me. I've never done this before. I've planted potatoes outside, but I've never started them in the house this early. So we'll see what happens. Half the fun of being retired is being able to do experiments and play around with things that you don't have time for when you're working. So that's one way to keep busy. Start a little garden. Start an indoor garden, start an outdoor garden, and have fun with it. That's the most important thing, is to have fun with it. And if something doesn't grow for you, well, then try again. And then if it doesn't have any success, you can always try growing something else. So I'll be doing more gardening videos coming up soon. It's still cold here. It's in the 30s. Warms up maybe to the low 40s every now and then. And we're supposed to get bad weather the rest of this week. So we're not there yet. That won't happen till the end of April. Even April can be kind of iffy here. So you have to go with the weather. And I'm in zone 6A. So our growing season is not that long. You kind of have to play around with it. And sometimes I don't remember to replant things on time. So I usually only get one harvest. Alright, so I'll be back in a little while and we'll see what else is cooking. So yesterday I did a shopping, and I will show you what I bought. Hi friends, this is what I ended up finishing up my shopping at Aldi's. I ended up spending $35.93, and this is what I bought. And this is for the stash over here. I did need dishwasher tablets, and those were well, I know they weren't free, but well, I'll tell you when I come across them. The cornstarch was 89 cents a piece, and I want to make sure that I have plenty of flour, plenty of yeast, plenty of cornstarch, plenty of baking soda, and plenty of baking powder. So those are things that I always stash up on for making lots of different things. And the flour was $1.49, so that went up a little bit, but not horrendously. So that's what I paid for that. Then I got these organic avocados. They didn't have a whole lot of choice on the avocados, and those were $4.59. That's not the cheapest I've seen them, but it was still cheaper than Mark's. Mark's didn't even have the bag of the minis. I got the mini sweet peppers. Those were $2.99. The kosher pickles were 99 cents. Now those were cheaper than the ones you could get at Mark's, because Mark's has Vlasic and you know, the name brand ones. But I've had these before from Aldi's, and they're good. They're the whole baby dill pickles. Then I bought a hazelnut coffee, because I'm trying to stock up a little bit on the coffee, because I used up everything that I had. So, and the coffee was $3.69. So, and then I bought the cheese tray again. They did have it, so, and this is with the white sharp cheddar, Havarti, Gouda, and Asiago, and those are my favorite cheeses. So though that was $4.49. And here I bought a little bit of junk food. I bought the sweet and salty nut bars. That isn't total junk food, but I like the peanut ones, and those are tasty. If I'm going to eat bars, that's usually what I go for. And those were $1.39. And then I got 2 packs of these peanut butter fudge cookies. They are really good. They're very similar to the Girl Scout ones. And those were $1.35 a piece. And I guess that's it. And the dishwasher things were like $4 something. But anyway, I was very surprised when I went to Aldi's. They only had one checkout person, and everything else was a do-it-yourself. So I guess we're going to a do-it-yourself world, because most of the Walmarts have that. Mark's does not have that yet. I don't know if they will. They actually have cashiers. So I don't know how I feel about that. Sometimes I just like to kind of have a person. Oh, and I forgot. I bought these Chaucer milk chocolate hazelnut. Those are my favorite chocolates, and I always keep those. And those were $2.49 a piece. I got 2 of those. Now keep in mind, this is for a whole 4, 5, 6 weeks for me. So I pretty much stayed within my budget. for produce and stocking up, which is between $100 and $125. And this past shop, not this one, but the past one, I went over a month. So I went about a week over a month, so 5 weeks. So however long this lasts, I'm going to keep cooking it and eating it. And I'm still going to work on my freezer and my pantry. So I want to use up things that are starting to get old, and I don't want them to go bad. So anyway, that was my shop. Then I went to dinner at Olive Garden with my mom, and I have leftover pasta for another meal for that. So plenty of food. We're not going to starve yet, and hopefully we won't. So, all right, how much do you guys spend in a month? If you're, let me know below, and how many people are in your family and what your food budget is, just so we have some idea of what other people spend. All right, my friends, I have to put this away, and I'm kind of pooped, so I will be back later. All right, so far this week for my produce and a little bit of a stock up haul, I've spent $123.81. So, and last month, the very beginning of the month, I spent about the same, but that was for more than a month. And I could have gone longer, but the weather's going to be turning bad again, and I just wanted to combine shopping trips with other errands that I needed to run. So the only other thing that I need now is dog food. And the dog food lasts me about 6 weeks, and that's about $30 for a 40-pound bag for 3 dogs. And then I buy them their nighttime treats. They get either a little Nylabone or another dental thing for their teeth. But they only get half of a one. I don't give them a whole one. So they get one of those every night, and then in the morning they get just a hard dog biscuit. And they get some treats off and on during the day too. I don't feed my dogs a ton of treats because I don't want them getting too heavy. And the way I've always fed my dogs, now I know some people and the way they recommend is just to feed them once a day, give them their food, and that's that. But I've never fed my dogs that way. And I've had dogs most of my life. What I do is I just keep 2 bowls of dog food out with 2 cups in each bowl, and when it's gone I put more dog food in. And none of my dogs just gobble all the food. They usually feed themselves once a day when they're hungry. So, and that's always worked out for me. I always did the same thing with my cats. They always had food available if they were hungry. My take on that is I don't always eat at the same time every day. I eat when I'm hungry. I don't eat by the clock. So that's always worked for me, and none of my dogs are real heavy. So I know some dogs, as long as there's food there, I don't know why, as long as there's food there, they eat it. But the food can sit in the bowls here for the whole day, and they don't touch it until later in the evening. So that's how I feed my dogs, and that's been working out really well for me. So I've been talking about getting a generator. I used to have one. I gave it to one of my sons. But now that I don't have the second freezer, I never got around to getting another one. And so my son sent me a text this morning, and he said that he had something for me. because we were talking about this. He usually calls me on Sundays, and we have long conversations about life and politics, and he's a sort of a prepper kind of guy too. So we talk about different things that we should have, to keep ourselves happy and healthy and safe if some disaster were to befall us. Better be prepared than, better have too much than not enough if something happens. That's my philosophy. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a hoard, but you have to have enough to at least be secure in the fact that if something happens, that you'll be able to feed yourself and your family. And don't say, oh, well, that can't happen, because it's happened in the past. You look at the Great Depression that lasted 10 years, oh my God, and then look what's happening over in Ukraine, and God bless the Ukrainian people. I hope things work out okay for them. And, and in Russia, people starved to death, and it wasn't just a few thousand, it was a couple million people, and the same happened in China. So, it's best to be prepared. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember the exact time frame, when our own government was starting to talk about keeping a food stash. And I started thinking, what's going on here? They never said that before. So, I think they kind of have some plans going on, and they're warning people. And when your own government starts to warn you to start stocking up, I think it's a good and prudent thing to take heed. Now, I know a couple people, if I made any reference to politics at all, kind of, oh, I don't watch you for that. I watch you because I want some good news. And I try to keep that on my channel. But you also have to remember that, this is reality. And this is part of my life too. I stock food. I stock things. I try not to hoard. I don't want other people to fall short because I bought all the toilet paper in a store. There's a good example, to have enough stuff at least to keep you for a while. But I think when your own government starts putting out warnings to have enough food for a month or whatever the criteria is now, I don't know. I think it's a smart thing to take heed of the warnings. So anyway, enough about that. I want to keep things positive on the channel, and I try to do that. But like I said, it's part of life, and it's something that I feel that I need to talk about every now and then. What's going on in the real world. I don't walk around with my head in the sand. You have to be cognizant of what's going on around you. Just be a little mindful of things that are happening, and don't say, oh, that'll never happen, because it could, and even if you don't think that that type of disaster will befall you, like I've said before, the weather can do so much damage. I mean, look what happened in Texas. The poor people there, they were without power for a couple weeks, and without heat, and, that was terrible. Or look what happened in Louisiana when Hurricane Katrina passed through there. And, if you keep your stash in the basement and it floods, it's not going to be a good thing. But, my point is weather disasters do happen. Or like when I fell, my dogs knocked me over. I flew horizontally into the air, landed on my hip. I've told this story before, but if you're new here, you might not know it. And broke my hip, and I was laid up in the house for a good couple months because, I couldn't drive and I couldn't go shopping. And even that experience changed my life a lot. And by that I mean not only physically, but I was so used to staying in the house that when I did start to venture out, I really didn't enjoy it much anymore. I'm not talking about, getting together with family and friends. I'm talking about going out and shopping and, going out to eat all the time. I never went out all the time, but I used to get together with friends more than I do now. But I guess I just got out of the habit. But it did teach me that, having food available to make was a prudent thing to do. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and just preparing a little bit. And if you don't have a lot of room in your house, dedicate a closet, put it under your bed. If you have enough space, even if you're in an apartment, get yourself some nice shelving and put your food on there. So there's ways to do it. Between that and making a little garden for yourself, even a window garden, they have, like I've said before, tutorials on growing things inside. There's a YouTube friend of mine has a channel, and it's Lakeside Homestead with Dave and Karen, and they set up in their basement. They have a whole indoor garden going on. It's really cool. So go check out their channel. Really nice Canadian people. They just built a house on a lake. I'm not sure what lake it is, but really nice. And Dave is like the ultimate handyman. He can build. He's set up beautiful gardens for Karen, and Karen is the one that's into the gardening, and she started her channel a little bit after I did, so that was probably a couple years ago. So go check them out, Lakeside Homestead with Dave and Karen. So, and if you want to get into gardening too, there's a couple others that I really enjoy following, and I've shouted them out before. Homegrown Veg, he's in the UK, and he does a lot of, all his stuff is in containers. And he gardens in yogurt pots and buckets, and and I just love hearing him talk, because he's got that, I think he might be Scottish, because he's got that brogue that goes on, and so I like watching him. M.I. Gardner, that's sort of more in my area here. Gary Pilichak, whatever. The Rusted Garden, that's a good one to watch. And they share all their gardening experience with all of you, and I've learned a lot from them. So if you're interested at all in gardening, go check them out. And so let me think what else I wanted to talk about. You can regrow some of your veggie scraps. I've talked about my green onions. Now the green onions, they're not going to last forever. After a while they're going to poop out because they don't have any nutrients in the water. But you can get a couple months out of a bunch of spring onions that you bought from the grocery store. But you can regrow if you cut the bottom off of your lettuce, just the, like this much of it, and stick it in water. It'll start growing up new shoots. Now, it's not going to make a big, huge salad for you, but it's a little bit of food. You can do the same thing with celery. onions. You can regrow some onions, even if it's just onion shoots, and you can stick those on a windowsill. So there's a lot of things you can do, even if you live in an apartment or a very small house, to make yourself feel a little bit more food secure than just having to rely on the grocery store. So, and then yesterday I bought that 2 bags of flour, and I have lots of flour in the basement. I have regular flour and bread flour. I prefer the bread flour for bread making, but if you don't have bread flour, if you get some Vital wheat gluten and add a couple of you can get that online, and add a couple tablespoons of that to your all-purpose flour, you'll have bread flour. So, and that goes a long way. I mean, you can buy a bag of Anthony's Vital wheat gluten. I don't know, I think it's maybe $11, $12, but it goes a long way, and it's a bag about this big. So there's lots of things you can do. I mean, you can make your own pasta if you have enough flour on hand. So all that. All right, I'm going to go to Costco today, and there is one thing that I want to buy for me, and I only bought one dozen eggs. They were $1.77 at Aldi's, and no, where did I buy them? No, at Mark's. They were $1.77. I bought those. And then I was going to get another dozen because I like to get like 18 eggs, and that usually lasts me a month. And Aldi's had the same ones for $1.77 when I went yesterday, so I didn't get them there. And since I am going to Costco, they sell eggs there in bigger packets, so I'm going to pick up a pack of eggs when I go there. So anyway, I'll be back later, and we'll see what the day brings. Yesterday's dinner didn't cost me anything. My mom had a couple of gift cards from Christmas left that she wanted to use up for the Olive Garden. So that's what we used. So that was a free dinner. And then tonight is a free dinner because I'm eating the rest of that dinner. So, but I did treat my daughter to breakfast this morning. But that's okay. That's part of my low spend. And yep, still going to continue cooking down that freezer. So tomorrow I think things will return to normal. But this week and next week, I'm going to be running around a lot getting things done. 85 dinner. I did have breakfast with my daughter this morning, and there was no cooking tonight because I still have dinner with my mom from my mom's dinner, not my mom's dinner, from Olive Garden dinner with my mom. I still have dinner for tonight. So I just had this pasta, and that's what we're having for dinner. So let me show you. And today I went shopping, finished up my shopping at Costco, and oops, showing you my dirty pans. I went shopping at Costco, got my dog food. I got 18 eggs for $3.59, which is about what they were at Walmart, I think. So, oh, hello. Whoa, that's a big nose, huh? All right, I can't open this box. I need 2 hands. All right, I'll be back. Just got home a little bit ago. I went to Costco. On the way home, I stopped at Dollar Tree. I wanted to get some chamomile tea, and I actually stopped at two Dollar Trees, and they were both out of chamomile tea. The $1 tree was totally wiped out of tea, and the other one I stopped at, they were both on the way home. They did have a new kind of tea, and they also had the apple, but not much of it. So I don't know if they're discontinuing that or if they're having a hard time getting it, but I wanted to get a couple boxes of that. But I'll show you my Dollar Tree haul tomorrow because I'm tired and I want to eat my dinner, which is the ziti with the 5 cheese sauce from yesterday. So no cooking today. I did have breakfast with my daughter, so that was nice. And so that's all I have for you today. So I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.